Good morning. We're normally very prompt. Good morning, Tom.
You know,
Good.
it's the Gulfstream way. You know, I just had to finish my tennis set. I'm still sweating, and I'm in the meeting.
Well,
So we got.
get you in the right frame of mind.
Yeah, I didn't wear my tie. I didn't know the process.
Joan,
She's right behind you,
Joan
Mayor.
isn't feeling well.
Mayor, she's right
Yeah,
behind
I'm
you. She
good.
made it.
Made it.
Oh, you did make it. I was just gonna say you weren't gonna make it.
I'm just
How you doing?
recovering.
At least I missed you. Oh, really? Okay. Keep you guys away from me.
Ready when you are, Mayor.
All right, let's call this meeting to order. Please rise and pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Canfield,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
Let it also be noted, in attendance today is Town Manager Dunham, Assistant Town Attorney Nazaro, Chief Jones, Acting CFO Mark Bymaster, and myself.
Thank you very much. We've been presented with the minutes from our last meeting of December 8th. Are there any comments, questions, corrections, additions, or a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the December 8th, 2023 meeting.
Second.
Renee?
Commissioner Canfield,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley.
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. Any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Under the town manager's report, we have a new number one. That would be a server versus cloud discussion with our IT representatives here. So that would move water services to 2, update on loan discussions 3. And then we've added discussion from number 4, discussion regarding waste haul contract. And then number 5 is the grass condition around town hall.
Okay. Grass at town hall. All right, so that's 5.
Yes,
5 reports under A.
correct.
Very good. Our next meeting is February 9th at 9 a.m. for anyone who wishes to attend. Public comment, would anyone wish to speak? If not, let's move on then. We have a hearing with the Corshine Development Corporation. First, any ex parte communications relative to that application?
I've had none.
To you administer the oaths, Renee, to anyone who's going to be speaking on this application.
Stand and raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Okay. All right, this application for 2915 Blue Water Cove. Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Luis Rivera. I'm with Affinity Architects. The home we're presenting today is a Georgian style on the Blue Water Cove, lot 3. The way we made this one different from the other homes is that we introduced a second Georgian style home, but this one we changed the details, the colors. We introduced a gable, which is different from any other houses that we done in that area. When it comes to landscape, we eliminated all sidewalks going to the street. That's going to be also on the upcoming homes. Here we introduce, like I said, a gable. We're introducing coins and typical Georgian style trims and shutters. Landscape, my colleague Luis Blajos can elaborate more, but is consistent with the other homes in the area.
The gable you're referring to is at the front entrance?
Yes.
Comments, questions?
Yeah, so the gable on the front entrance for Georgian style, are there any prior comments on that being a bit blocky, for lack of a better phrase?
Um,
What do y'all think on that? The front elevation, front door.
Yeah, I
Our,
know what you mean.
traditionally, the Georgian styles we've approved in the past have had more of like a exacerbated crown molding or something like that. Like kind of goes around it. Which is similar to the eaves. which
This
are on
one
the-
does have crown molding, but at the gable is shallower. It's not an
Yeah.
extended overhang. So the detail in that area is a little more.
Yeah, maybe I'm
Um,
not seeing it correctly on the elevation.
How far does it stick out?
It's about 4 inches.
4 inches?
It's a minimal gable.
Yeah, I mean, it does give it kind of an unusual look. For the right east elevation, left west elevation gives it kind of a block. Look, but again, it does differentiate it from the other homes.
Correct.
And we wanted to differentiate it from the other Georgian that we have
Yeah,
that has no gables. It's all pitch roofs, hip roofs.
You have that on your slide there, the other Georgian.
Yes,
For perspective, I know we're kind of jumping ahead.
it's lot 13. You could zoom in there.
And that was the one where we did end up moving the sidewalk before we approved that.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, it's different.
what do you think, John?
It's different. I mean, than the 13, yeah.
We're trying to make sure that each house differentiates itself from each other, but still have that same, cohesive look throughout the.
Well, Rob, you just came off the ARPB. What do you think?
Yeah, I've said in the past that on their own, each one of these houses is absolutely gorgeous. But then when we were starting to put them together, you could see the similarities. So I do appreciate the slight tweaks in the elevation and then with the landscaping and removing the sidewalks. So I think it's a nice change.
Yeah, I think we defer to it because of the differentiation of the homes. That's my inclination. I understand what you're saying. But that's my thought. Somebody else like to comment?
Yeah, on the phone. No, I think it's nice.
Anything else to be presented on this application? Very good. Let's move on then to some, well, we're gonna do motions on these individually.
Yeah.
Vice Mayor, you're normally the one to handle
Yeah,
this.
let's
Let's
see
let
what
you
we got
take
here.
that.
We just have one motion here. Right?
No, I think it is. It's a second.
Just the one, yeah.
Yeah, here's the first one.
Yeah, that's it. Just a level 3.
Yeah, just a level 3.
Anybody else have any other questions with regard to the landscape plan or anything on the dais here?
I don't
Going
think so.
once, going twice, okay.
Let's move on.
All right, we're on to the vote. Make a motion to approve a level 3 architectural site plan based upon a finding that the construction of a 5,435 square foot Georgian one-story single-family dwelling with a 2-car garage and swimming pool meets the minimum intent of the design manual and applicable review standards with the following condition. Any minor modifications to the approved landscaping shall be submitted to the town manager for review and approval, and any major modifications shall be brought back to the ARPB for review and approval prior to the commencement of the landscaping.
Is there a second?
Second?
Renee?
Commissioner Canfield,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. Thank you very much. All right, let's move on then to Mr. Mazzell. This is the Compton property at 4120 North County Road.
I do not see
Who's
him
gonna be-
present.
No one's present?
I don't see him.
No,
No one's speaking to this?
they're not here.
They did not make me aware that they would not be here.
Okay.
This is the second time they've done this. So
Well, we can proceed with it, or we
Or we
can
can defer it.
defer it.
Sure. So, I mean, it's obviously up to the commission. I want to say 2 months ago, this exact thing happened and I presented the application and it was approved. It was a similar application. The only reason it was before the commission was because it originally included a variance request that was recommended that be removed by the ARPB, so they continued forward. I'm happy to talk a little bit about the application, but, you know, I don't know if you would rather the applicant himself, be here for the presentation. I mean, there are 2 special exceptions, but there's a lot of information probably they need to put in.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure about it, to be honest with you. I was looking forward to the presentation. So I say we defer it. All right, let's defer this.
I need a motion.
Yeah,
Now,
make
Go ahead. Oh,
Yeah.
please.
All right, make a motion to defer the application for the Crompton property at 4120 North County Road.
Second.
Renee?
Commissioner Canfield.
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley.
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. All right, let's move on then to town manager reports. This is the server cloud discussion.
Thank you, Mayor. We notified our first presenter here regarding the server and the cloud discussion of Carlos Valdez with Calvin Giordano and Associates to be here at 9:30. And it's obviously earlier than that, so he's not here yet. If we could just go ahead.
All right, well, let's just push that to 5. We'll switch them.
Okay. And so we'll do the water services agreement update. Mr. Nazaro.
Thank you, Mr. Dunham. So, I last updated you in December. We've had the Christmas and New Year's holidays. So, with Boynton, there's not been a lot of response, but I'll just read you an email exchange from myself and the utilities director of Boynton Beach. She said the construction for a joint streetscape project between Delray and Boynton is proceeding along Gulfstream Boulevard, starting at Seacrest, I believe, to about the railroad tracks. They're bidding that out, and they've gotten a quote for adding the water main pipe design. So again, we're part of the connection to Boynton Beach would be running a line along Gulfstream Boulevard from Seacrest to the entrance of Place au Soleil. We have an approximate $2 million price tag for that. They say they're thinking about doing the project in 2 phases, designing the pipe construction just west of the railroad tracks in the first phase as part of that joint streetscape project with Delray. The second phase would include the design for the pipe extension east of the railroad tracks up to the point of connection with Gulfstream. They do have a new city attorney. They went from, I guess, contract to someone in-house. I'm always in favor of that. So those attorneys were copied on that exchange, and she indicated that she's going to meet with the city attorney, get a draft contract together, and send it over. I did send them a copy of our agreement with Delray Beach. And I said, I really have no preference, whatever your city attorney wants, but this is, the form that we've done. And haven't heard anything back. I did reach out to her last week and just sort of pinged her and said, hey, where are we with this? But we're kind of engaging in the final rate discussions, and I think that we're going to be bringing it home soon. But we're kind of at the at the mercy of Boynton Beach and their scheduling and everything that they have going on right now.
So we haven't received any terms from them yet.
Correct. We have not. The initial response from the utilities director was, here's our rate schedule. It has 4 tiers, and we'd be asking for a 25% increase outside of the municipality, which is the statutory maximum. So I responded and said, obviously, a tiered rate is not going to work for us. That's really based on water conservation, based on the town's consumption, which is 1 customer. 90% of our water would be at the most punitive, if you will, tier. We have our own tier system, which is consistent with what you're required to do through South Florida Water Management District for water conservation. And I told her that I thought a 10% increase would be beneficial to both parties, given that the town is currently engaged in a $13 million capital improvement project that includes water distribution that they're not responsible for, that they send us, 12 bills a year. We don't have, we pay by check. We don't change our account name. You don't have anyone servicing us. You are, putting 12 stamps on envelopes a year. It's just very easy to manage that. So I kind of put our position out there that we should, given all those factors, there should be a serious consideration on a reduced rate structure less than 25%. So we're currently engaged in those conversations.
Yeah, it's really easy money for them. We pay for the connection single point, and they just send a bill 12 times a year. It gets paid. Pretty simple. Well, thank you, Mr. Nazaro. Keep us updated. All right, let's move on then to the loan discussions.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So myself, Mr. Bymaster, and Lolita, we're in the process of determining a loan amount. This would be based on the cost for water improvements in the CIP and the cost to connect to Boynton Beach. So our goal is to have the loan be based on the capital improvements to the water infrastructure of these projects to be repaid by fees and revenue generated by the water fund and not through the general fund balance. All the while trying to, as we discussed last month, trying to maintain a fund balance of $4 million by the end of our CIP program. But this is an update. I have to share with you that this is not urgent because we do have our money budgeted and in place for all the work that's being done in this fiscal year, which of course ends at the end of September.
Right. So that's the important point. Is this fiscal year, we're not borrowing any money. We've budgeted for it. We've built up reserves over the last 10 years to address this issue. And that's what we're going to be drawing from.
So we're focusing on making this loan related to all of the construction that would be water related, both in the CIP and this Boynton project.
Great. Thank you very much. The next one is one you added. That's the waste hauling contract.
Yes. So our contract with Waste Management expires March 31. We had just received the numbers from Waste Management in terms of what they believe our alternatives are in mid-December. So that's doesn't give us a lot of time. I think that's kind of their standard operating procedure. So basically what was presented to us, we really have two choices. One is if we want to maintain the backdoor service, they're proposing a 62% increase in the fees. Now, relating that to a bill, that would be, remember we bill bi-monthly, so a $75 bill would then increase to approximately $121 to maintain the backdoor service. Backdoor service is going out of style, and it's not just Waste Management telling me that, but other waste haulers really don't do that. If they even agree to provide that service, it's at a premium cost. The backdoor service requires 2 personnel. The other alternative that we would be closely interested in would be curbside service. It's fully automated and it just involves 1 employee for Waste Management. So I'm putting that out there to you. Those are really the alternatives that we would have to choose from. I'm guessing that we would like to try to maintain our backdoor service. You got to remember, we're going to be having major CIP work going on during this year. And to change to curbside service during, this project where the roadways are going to be under construction. And I'm not sure that you want to try to entertain that. So what am I doing right now? So I'm working with the government affairs director for waste management. He's a person that I've known for 25 years. So I'm trying to personally reach out to him to see what he can do to help us on that percentage. You'll remember that you guys have authorized us to engage Kessler Consulting Services. We've done that before. What was it, 3 years ago? 2 years, 4 years ago? And they helped us negotiate with Waste Management, and I think it was successful using them in those negotiations. So you have already authorized us earlier this year to reach out to them if we felt like we needed to. That would be on an hourly basis as needed. We would not include creating an RFP and going out to bid because those costs are in the 5-figure area. And so the last time we used them, we spent around $6,000 to $7,000 for their services.
So it makes sense to, I think, to engage them and also to reach out to your contact there.
Right.
Try to get an extension of time because it's rather pressing to negotiate a contract like this. See if we can reduce it. I think backdoor service is always, it's been important to the town with a lot of elderly. It's not just trash, also recyclables. I think we have to maintain
We want
that
to continue
if
down
possible.
that.
Yes.
Okay. So,
all right.
So that's how we'll move
In
forward.
agreement, that's how you should move forward with it. Very good. Grass at the town hall.
Yes, I've just been waiting for a call from one of our commissioners to say what's going on with the grass at town hall. And I think we've been a victim of the same, disease that other people have experienced at their own homes. I have Anthony here to explain what that disease is, the impacts of it, and what we're probably going to have to do. So,
Anthony?
Probably.
Morning, Mayor Commission. The disease that we have in the grass is called the sugarcane mosaic virus. It's an aphis insect that transfers from lawn to lawn. It was originated back in 1960. It's been dormant until the climate's reached close to 40 degrees, and then it obviously kicks in, and then they start activating, and then they start killing all the grass. It mainly hits Floritan. The ones that are susceptible to it is palmetto and a new type of grass that they've been designing, which is called Citra Blue. It's been pretty, sustaining, holding the infection that is hitting it. So what they've been doing is treating it with a herbicide, and it's been dormant. They're in there, but it's not doing any damage like what you see out in front. So the alternative is to remove all the Floritan that's been infected, treat the ground, which they saturate it, wait a couple of days, then lay the sod, and then treat it with a herbicide.
So what we've done as a staff, we've gone out, we've reached out to, basically put it out to bid. We realized that it's going to be an amount that's over the $15,000 limit that I can spend, but in a range that looks like it's between $20,000 to $25,000.
To do what?
To completely replace all of the
All the
diseased
grass.
areas in
Oh,
the,
to replace all the grass.
all the grass.
Here
Yeah.
in the.
Well, not all the
on
grass,
police
the
station.
infected area, because there's,
Any
measured
area
everything
that's
out, it's
infected.
almost 13,000 square feet.
Because we have some over here and some on the side too.
Right.
I'm not sure about the.
You said it spreads yard to yard, or
It
do we
can,
have it spreading to our residents and to the golf course?
golf course OSHA doesn't receive it. It doesn't do any harm to it. At least that's the literature that I've researched in and then looked for.
So as lawn maintenance people do across the street,
Right.
all around us, or when they do hours and, they blow.
They carry it in the blades of the.
It's in the
lawn
clippings
mowers.
is what it is.
And in the
once you-
clippings, so some of those clippings may, get mixed in with neighbors, either from there to here or even us to them. And so,
So I'm sorry, the alternative is to either try to kill it or replace the grass.
No, you can't kill it. There's nothing that's gonna kill them. Nothing. There's nothing, no type of pesticide, herbicide, anything that's gonna kill the virus. It's a virus. It's not a fungicide. And the only way of eliminating it is by removing what they're used to growing in and expanding in, which is Florentine grass.
Do other grasses in the neighborhood have this?
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
have you
Yes, ma'am.
noticed it?
Yeah, I have it.
yeah.
Oh, good.
He does.
Yeah.
Piggyback on the contract.
It's not a fun treatment to try to take care of it. Reason being is because if your grass is moist, when they cut the grass, it sticks to that mower. And if they don't blow it off really well and then treat the mower with some sort of a water alcohol solution and let it dry, it'll transfer from that yard to the next
That's
yard.
not happening.
Spraying the blades of alcohol.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a menace.
So what I would be asking the commission to do is to authorize me as the town manager to approve the low bid on reaching out to the pesticide.
But is this something that's gonna come right back? Because
If we replace it with either the Palmetto or the Citra Blue, it's susceptible to it. It doesn't mean that it won't get it. It's just, it'll be in a dormant stage in it and you won't notice it as bad as what it is right now.
But
Is it not gonna be coming back? It won't come back, but it does, let me rephrase that. It will come back, but it doesn't do what it does out there right now because that's a different type of grass. And that grass there is where it's been proven that that type of grass is what's been absorbing most of the infection and it dies out. It looks like root rot, but it isn't. And then also another virus is called the rust virus that looks similar to it, that if you end up doing an analysis on it, it's very close to what the sugarcane mosaic virus is, but the mosaic virus is deadly. I mean, it'll destroy a whole lawn.
But in addition to replacing the grass, we still
Right
have,
to the
we
hedges.
still have to train.
Yes, and it can go to plants. You are correct. It can transfer to shrubs.
Whitefly to the hedges. Is this something that the residents should know about? Because who cuts this grass cuts a lot of people in town.
Correct.
Well,
So
we're-
I'm thinking the
we're putting-
blades.
We're putting out a manager, I mean.
I've had a very long discussion with him about that already.
yeah,
And every time I've seen them cut here, they do blow off their equipment. Question is, do they do it everywhere else they go? I don't know. I'm not with them.
And we can add to the mayor's letter, annual letter to the residents, information about this.
But there
We're
are
putting out a
means
letter
of
soon, so
sustaining
we'll
most
have
of
that.
it by a herbicide. You have to treat with a herbicide.
so it can transfer to hedges too, like
They can,
whitefly.
it depends on a
Okay.
broadleaf type of hedge. Yes, it can. Because the clippings will get next to it and when it's wet, it can transfer to anything.
So the only way for the resident to get rid of it is do this.
Remove it. Yes, unfortunately.
And we've already.
And sod has gotten
many
very
residents
expensive.
that have Gone through this.
It's
All
gonna
right, well, we
take
defer
29
to your
pallets to do the whole
expertise
thing.
on it, Anthony. It's
So do it.
unfortunate.
I have the authority to spend over, because we need to do it as soon as we can.
I mean,
Oh,
we obviously trust your judgment on
Okay,
it,
all right.
so I think. Yep. Okay.
I think it should
Part
go
of
in the
interest of the
newsletter
town.
too.
Oh.
So it's gotta be.
Just
fixed.
to
Right,
tell the
right, gotta
residents
do it.
about.
So,
Right.
wow, that's apocalypse of the landscape. All right, we can go back to Server Cloud if we have any changes.
Mayor, I'm sorry, real quick, could we just get a motion authorizing the manager
Oh,
to accept?
yeah, that's right. It's in excess.
$5,000.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, make a motion for the town manager to expend over 10,000 up to 25,000 to arrange for sod and herbicide to replace the grass at town hall.
Second,
Ms. Basil?
Commissioner Canfield,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein,
yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. Okay, Server Cloud.
Hey, good morning. How's everyone doing?
Good morning.
So I guess I'll start with a quick update on what happened with the current server and then transition to kind of our recommendations there. So recently the village had a power situation where the power went down, the AC went down. When the power came back on, the AC was damaged. So it damaged kind of the server equipment we had in there, overheated. We couldn't get it back up. Once we got it back up, everything's running now, but it's in kind of a desperate stage where we're waiting for HP to come to finish setting it up, but it is vulnerable. So our recommendation is to move the server information to the cloud. We currently have the cloud infrastructure already set up because we moved everything over to our email over to the cloud. Microsoft offers government cloud. So I know 10 years ago, the biggest issue was that the cloud was new. They didn't have government compliances set up in the cloud. So we're recommending moving over our server infrastructure over to government cloud through Microsoft Azure. And I think the rough estimates cost, we won't know until we have everything mapped out and everything approved. It's going to be about $300 or $400 a month for the whole entire system to be on there, which means extra redundancy. We won't have reliancy on the physical location here for any of our data. So we'll be resistant to hurricanes, storms, power outages, and all of that. So that's the gist of it. I'm not sure if there's anybody who has any questions.
I wanted to add that our servers are 10 years old at this point.
Yes,
Right.
they're 10 years old. They're end of life. There's newer generations of this model here, but we're recommending instead of getting the newer generation of the HP models that we currently have, to move over to the cloud instead. Cloud has no issues with equipment getting outdated. They constantly update their equipment on their end. It will no longer be our responsibility on that end. So we'll constantly be upgraded to the highest hardware. It's just maintaining and backing up the storage. It's going to be all on us.
How long would it take to make the transition?
So the first step is waiting for HP. They were here today. The part they brought was damaged. So they're getting a new part and getting that. So that is estimated to be done probably early next week. Once that's done, we can probably get everything over and migrated within 2 to 3 weeks. Get it ready to go.
Well, it sounds like the way to go.
Yeah, agreed, especially for a town our size.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to bring up also the whole entire migration is going to have zero downtime because we will be relying on the hardware here while we're moving everything up. And then it'll be a smooth cutover on the weekend, kind of seamless to everybody here in the village. It'll show up on the system just as it is, and our other data would be backed up and stored. Good thing is our backups are active, are live. I explained it over to Nazaro that we have everything backed up. So there's no loss of data, no fear of losing our data.
Right. And cost is under 5,000 a year, right?
It's between 400 and 500 a month, so close to it.
Okay. We don't need a motion for it, do you? It's within
All
your
right.
budgetary limit.
Yeah, so just mainly
Thank you very much.
for your information.
Okay, so we'll proceed with that. ARPB, our next meeting for the Architectural Review Board is January 25th at 8:30 a.m. for anyone who wishes to attend. Finance Director report, back at you, Mr. Dunham.
Yes, Mayor, there's really nothing significant about this other than that it represents 1/4 of our budget. I would point out that our ad valorem tax revenues are already at 89% for the year. So this represents our expenses, 25% of the budget.
Great. Any comments, questions about the finance? Okay. Chief Jones.
Good morning, Mayor,
Activity
Vice
report.
Mayor, Commission. If you would, please accept the report as submitted through your package. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them for you.
Any questions? If not, we'll accept your report
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
as submitted. Thank you very much. All right, let's move on then to the Gulfstream School Development Agreement. Mr. Nazaro.
So we did have a pause on our development agreement with the school for 90 days. That term has since run. I know that there's perhaps been some communications between the parties, but we just really want to understand exactly to the extent that we are going to renew the development agreement or make some sort of modifications, what those modifications would be. So I think we have some people here from the school and residents as well to provide some information so the commission can make a decision about where to move with the development agreement.
Okay, and just for the record, I've spoken to representatives from the school as well as a number of residents regarding this matter. Okay, who's going to speak on behalf of the school, just to update us on the report? Morning.
Morning, Commissioners, Mayor, Vice Mayor.
Could you state your name for the record?
You got it, sorry. I'm Patrick Donovan. I'm President of the Board of Trustees of Gulfstream School. Thank you for welcoming back to provide an update on Gulfstream School and the developments surrounding the acquisition of the ECA. I'd like to express my gratitude for your patience as we navigated the closing process on the ECA property and successfully obtained the necessary license to operate the facility. This is the first Gulfstream Town Commission meeting since Gulfstream School assumed operations on December 13th. I am pleased to report that the first half of the year has been a resounding success for the school, and I want to extend my sincere thanks to the Commission and the town for your instrumental role in achieving this milestone. We have prioritized campus security in collaboration with the Gulfstream Police. We have implemented a highly successful in-house lunch program, and we are nearing the completion of the installation of the sport court at the north end of Armour Field, all with your help. Looking ahead, I'm excited to announce that starting in September 2024, the newly acquired 2-acre campus on North Swinton Avenue will open its doors as an academic preschool named Gulfstream School Delray Beach Campus. This facility will cater to 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds, and 3-year-olds, offering full-time preschool program running from 7:45 a.m. to 4 p.m. Furthermore, our campus will continue to host a more advanced pre-K program designed to elevate the educational experience for this group of students, better preparing them for kindergarten. We are enthusiastic about the addition of the Gulfstream School Delray Beach campus and the enhanced opportunities it will provide for our preschool students and their families. In addressing the ongoing concern of the school's impact on traffic flow in Gulfstream, we remain committed to improving the speed and efficiency of this process. We track afternoon pickup times closely, and I'm happy to report we lowered our average pickup time to 14 minutes. This is down from about 20 minutes in September. It is also worth noting another positive outcome of the Delray Beach campus initiative will be the introduction of a new bus service connecting the 2 campuses in the morning and the afternoon. We anticipate full utilization of our 40-passenger bus, resulting in a noticeable reduction in vehicles in the pickup line. And just to note, none of the students that are at that campus can be on a bus. They would be, there's a limit of 5-year-old. You have to be 5 years old to be on a school bus.
So that bus would be, present an opportunity to parents to drop their older children off there. They would be bused in instead of individual vehicles. They'd be on a bus.
We feel this would be a great service for the Lake Ida-based families. Just an easy drop off there. They'll come over. We feel it'll probably reduce the car line by 20, 30 cars maybe. A lot of those families come over individually with one child. Putting them on this bus, I think, will make it a lot easier for them.
And that bus enters the school from A1A?
Correct. Yeah, it doesn't
through the
pass
back
through the town. It comes through A1A, exits A1A. The bus parking lot is on the southeast corner of the campus. We've historically used it to pick up, there are other buses that go around and pick up students in West Point and so forth, Boca. Yes. So as we move forward, we kindly request that the town endorse the developers agreement that was approved on June 9th with the 300 student enrollment cap. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate you coming. I know you've had a rough few weeks, and it's good to see you.
Good seeing you. Thank you very much. Thanks for your support.
Anyone from public wish to speak? Yes, Mr. Glenn.
Thank you. My name is Michael Glennon. I live at the corner of Lakeview and Gulfstream Road, 101 Lakeview Drive. Father of 2 girls, a current pre-K student, as well as a 1-year-old that I'm hopeful will be a future Gulfstream student. Honored to have the chance to speak to the commission again around this issue that I believe is very important to both the future of Gulfstream and Gulfstream School. I'd like to thank and commend the commission for their thoughtful examination and questions around the expansion of the school. I think you've done an exemplary job protecting the nature and ambiance of Gulfstream while correctly pushing the school to think through issues and questions around the ECA purchase, the long-term strategy, and school expansion. I believe this has and will continue to improve communication and transparency to parents and town residents alike. The school and the town, as I've said before, have a symbiotic relationship. The town is stronger when the school is doing well and achieving its mission, and a key attractor of families moving to Gulfstream. And the school is stronger when it's aligned with the town and a key asset in resident satisfaction and also attracting new families to Gulfstream. Given that, I wanted to raise a few items before the commission regarding the school expansion that I believe hopefully will be helpful in your considerations. Firstly, to address the ECA and movement of students from the Gulfstream campus, I believe the purchase of the ECA capitalizes on a core Gulfstream school strength, early childhood education. The purchase provides educational continuity for children starting at the age of 2, with the opportunity for a child's entire educational process through 8th grade to be under the Gulfstream school banner, which I believe is a key positive. Gulfstream parents such as myself would only have a single admissions point, then would carry our children throughout all the way up to high school potentially. Additionally, the status quo for a 2-year-old parent doesn't change. We drove our daughter Ellie to Delray for preschool, was planning to do the same for our daughter Lily, and this would essentially be the exact same situation. The purchase and movement, purchase of the ECA and the resulting movement of 3-year-olds to the new campus, as Mr. Donovan mentioned, I believe will allow for a better academic and social experience for both 3- and 4-year-old students. The current pre-K space at the school is space constrained. With the purchase, the pre-K area at Gulfstream School can be purpose-built or I guess not necessarily renovated, but repurposed for 4-year-olds, while the ECA can purpose that area for 3-year-old, their pre-K area there for 3-year-olds to maximize education and socialization to befit both of those educational cohorts. Additionally, the curriculum and learning can be better tailored for each group with more academic focus that I believe will lead to long-term improvements for both of those grades as well. As mentioned, the car line is an extreme point of friction for Gulfstream residents. There's no two ways about that. Parents often block driveways, drive and turn aggressively into the neighborhood, and the cars stack up, usually all the way back to my house on Gulfstream in Lakeview. Anecdotally, I believe the ECA will help alleviate this and make the car line move faster, which would certainly be a welcome development. I have found that unloading of the pre-K cars takes 3 to 4 times longer than upper class cars, or upper class student cars, that is. As a result of car seats, harder times of 3-year-olds leaving their parents for the 7th grader who can't wait to get out of the car. Something I'm looking forward to as the father of 2 girls. By having fewer 3-year-olds in the line at Gulfstream, as well as some of the solutions around the bus that Mr. Donovan presented, I think that will be a very positive development for the car line. I believe the car line will be materially reduced, as well as the times that it takes to drop off students, and the entire operation will be able to move more efficiently and faster, improving the experience for Gulfstream residents, students, and teachers alike. I would also encourage our law enforcement officials to not sacrifice your rigid policing standards to satisfy the school and the parents. If people are driving aggressively, I hope that the law enforcement keeps the same high standards that they would in pulling them over. Gulfstream has changed a great deal over the last 5 to 10 years, becoming a more year-round residential community with a diverse range of residents, ranging from younger families to retirees. And with that, I also believe the relationship between the school and the town should evolve as well. I would encourage the commission to pursue a creative solution where the cap can be expanded, even on a reasonable time frame basis of a 5 to 10 year period, and the school should pledge to regular reporting, better communication and transparency to the commission on key issues such as the car line times, number of Gulfstream residents in the student body, and allow for a partnership to move forward that serves all parties. Anecdotally, I would also, or I guess not for the commission, but I would also encourage the school to appoint a separate or a specific member of the board, that is, to act as a liaison between the Gulfstream school community, the commission, and town residents, which I think would greatly improve transparency and communication. With that, I'd like to thank the opportunity to speak today and for your respective work on this issue.
Thank you. Appreciate the well thought comments. One question, Patrick, at the last time we discussed this, there was uncertainty about the 4-year-olds, and that was a comment that was raised by a number of Gulfstream young parents with me. So that's why I brought it up. Would you please address that?
As I mentioned, there's no intention of having 4-year-olds over at the West Campus. I mean, if a 3-year-old were to turn 4-year-old during the school, that happens. But the advanced pre-K program is for 4-year-olds. Kindergarten's 5-year-olds. There may be some 3-year-olds that qualify for the advanced pre-K program, which I wouldn't want to discriminate against them by saying we're only going to have 4-year-olds here, but there's no intention of, there's only 1,200 square feet, roughly 1,200 square feet over there. And we're kind of capped out with the class sizes that we have right now. There's no intention of moving a 4-year-old program over there. There's no space for them. And a lot of the equipment, as Mr. Glennon mentioned, a lot of the equipment and stuff is based for 2- and 3-year-olds. We're putting in a new playground next year. That'll be for smaller children versus our playground here, which is more for 4 or 5, 6-year-olds. So that would be an additional capital commitment that we'd have to make. There's nothing in the plans, and we do not intend to have any 4-year-olds over there, or a 4-year-old program, I should say.
Very good. Regarding the lineup of vehicles, we talked about this a little bit last week, Mr. Dunn, about the CIP and perhaps expanding the road.
Yes, Mayor, we did speak about it. And everybody should know by now that we do have a capital improvement project that's going to start probably in March or April, in a couple of months. And so the original plan was to keep the roadway, Gulfstream Road, the pavement is 18 feet, so 2 9-foot lanes of traffic in addition to the right of way that's there. So my thought, and I've spoken to our engineers about expanding Gulfstream Road from around Lakeview north up to at least Old School to have 2 10-foot lanes of traffic, and also perhaps actually even putting curbs along the east side of the road. I think even some people here might like that idea. So anyway, so that's the thought. So I think we're going to incorporate that in. So we'll be able to widen the road and make it a little easier for, while the line is there, for cars going southbound to navigate that.
That sounds great. And I mean, we would like to be good partners and citizens in this. And if you need us to change our traffic pattern during some of that construction, we'd love to work with you on that.
Well, we're going to be having a public discussion about it in February, probably between mid-February or the end of February, that the public will be invited to, and you'll be noticed about it with our engineers and the contractor here to discuss the entire CIP project.
Okay, we'll make sure we have someone here.
Yeah, we'd like to have that at the school.
You'd like to have at the school?
At the school.
Okay,
Like
we can.
The core residents to update them on, what's going to happen. We've been talking about it for a long time, and we discuss it here, but it's going to be very disruptive to the town. And I think everybody needs to know exactly, and the school as well, need to know exactly what's going to happen, how long it's going to take, that sort of thing.
And it will, you're right. It'll take some creativity to work that out, because it's going to include all of Gulfstream Road.
Whatever we can do to help, we'll be there.
Absolutely.
All right, discussion on, no, you're recused.
Yes, for voting anything, I've got a voting conflict.
Well, you can't vote, but you can comment.
Well,
if you want.
So our development agreement previously provided for the increased enrollment. There's modification of the payment terms that more align with the Gulfstream police presence, a drop off and pickup, which was sort of an acknowledgement of the town's continued acknowledgement, as it had been previously, of the town's significant contribution while the school and its properties do not pay taxes, right? So they do not contribute to sort of offsetting that cost. And then it allowed for the addition of a building outside of the building envelope, which was that sort of refrigerator area. That is now no longer something they're seeking. They did something internal in their within their approved footprint. I understand the lunch program is going well, but without the need for that extra sort of building. Development agreements under Florida law are good for 30 years. I'm sure we want to continue to have the school operate as it has. They do come by with applications when we tell them, we can't approve that on a staff level, things like that. But we just want some direction to the extent that we're approving, the development agreement as originally contemplated with an increased enrollment figure, and that those adjusted payment terms. I don't know what other criteria you would like to add.
There was a limit that had been discussed on the time period for review because of the difficulties we've had in communication, and Patrick has and Mr. Glennon have indicated some changes needed to be made to encourage more open dialogue between the school and the town, so that we don't get in a situation again like what happened before, where after negotiation of the agreement, enrollment increases, by 40 some students without us knowing about it. So I think a 3-year review on the developments agreement would be a wise idea, keeping the terms as you just described. And then we just take a look at it.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Can I interject real fast? I'm sorry. Commissioner Orthwein, I believe in March, requested that we submit an audited, I don't know what it is, to Mr. Navarro.
To
Of our
guarantee the
enrollment.
number of students, so we don't go from like what happened before. You went from 250 to 297 or something.
So it's something we sign. I can tell you right now, we're at 294 students. I'm under oath. That's our number. It was our number back in September. I believe it was a number that we submitted in October, and we plan to continue to do that. I think it kind of mitigates the risk that you're talking about with the 3-year plan. And in addition, we have to do long-term planning. And if we're looking at a long-term plan and going, hey, in 3 years' time, this is going to be up for debate again. I mean, it was presented as a line item in 4 of the commission meetings in 2013. It was discussed in 6 meetings. By bringing it up with maybe the commissioners here not on the commission, I definitely won't be the president of Gulfstream School in 3 years. We're going to interject a lot of new parties to this, and I believe it adds a little bit of disruption that I would like to avoid for the next president and the next commission. If we were to go over, we'd have to state it, and then we'd be in trouble again. So I feel like
there has to be an ability to have consequence, and it seems to me that without the consequence of a review and approval in not a short time, but 3 years. That'll keep everybody on the straight and narrow. It'll get everything straightened out in terms of traffic patterns. As Mr. Glennon indicated, see an improvement in the traffic pattern and maintain the arrangement with the early education center that you've described. I don't think it's unreasonable to just have it looked at again in 3 years. If everything is copacetic, then we go for a longer period of time. But I think given the issues that have transpired, have risen in the last year, it's not an unreasonable request on the town's part.
I hope you have some empathy for us trying to long-term strategic plan with a number. 250 students does not break even for our school. Having the threat of in 3 years' time, the commission, again, maybe not you, saying, hey, we want to review this, we want to knock it down to 250 students, could have a detrimental impact to the school and the going concern of the school. So it would be our request that we wouldn't have a time limit, we would adhere to it. Obviously, if we don't adhere to it, you can come back to us and say you're not adhering to it and have oversight of it. But if you were to reduce our population, our enrollment by 17%, which would be 300 down to 250, it's almost impossible to put together a strategic plan with that potential risk in 3 years' time.
Yeah, I don't think that would happen because school made a persuasive argument before, which is what persuaded the board to go with the 300 initially. So I wouldn't foresee that occurring, something draconian like that. And I'm perfectly optimistic that in 3 years, things will be going well and great, and we will then do a much longer term agreement. It has bothered the commission, the lack of communication between the school and the town. And frankly, we had this meeting more than 3 months ago. The commission gave the school a period of time to come back with a review of what they plan to do with the early education center. And we never heard from them. I happened to get a document that was given to a parent. That's how I found out about it. So I reached out to the school. So that doesn't suggest to me that we've got those issues worked out.
Just to address that. So in August, I was approached to give a speech at the town commission to kind of subdue some rumors. In that, when I was asked that, I said there are plenty of things I will not be able to discuss because we hadn't closed on the property. We were still in the closing process. I've come back as soon as we've closed on the operations of the building, which the licensing took a little bit extra longer than we did. This is the first town commission meeting where I could openly discuss what is going on with the operations of our West Campus. So I hope you appreciate that. I've come back at the first notice that I can. I was a little bit tied up the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm not being critical of you, Patrick, you know
But
that.
as far as communication goes, last year, this was approved in January. It was unanimously approved by the town commission. I guess there was a clerical error where they didn't give out the notice in February. It was then brought up in March. There were 6 or 8 town residents that spoke in favor of the school in this. And then in June, it was revoted again. So, I mean, there's been a lot of discussion. We've come before for many different things. I feel our communication has improved. I'm just, as for my fiduciary duty to the school, to the next president of the school, I feel like we've addressed this sufficiently. There's very little risk to the town in the sense of if we were to go over 300, we'd have to state it.
But if I hadn't called Gray Smith a couple days ago, no one would be here to update the commission. There was no plan to have somebody here to update us on what you just did. I reached out with Mr. Glennon to come here to give some update because I spoke to him about it. Talked to a lot of residents about some of the issues and they needed to be addressed, and they are being addressed. And I'm pleased by what you have said and with my conversations with Dr. Smith. But there was, again, no communication to the town.
So in 3 years' time,
what did you expect was going to happen with the development agreement if there was nobody here from the school?
We actually sent a request in December, I believe, to Mr. Navarro. No, I didn't, but Karen Engelhardt did, requesting the developer agreement, and the response was not sufficient. So we had inquired about the development agreement and the status of it.
Well, right. So was anybody going to come here today to talk about it? Had I not reached out to you?
I wasn't sure what my position would be. I cleared my schedule.
And I don't mean you,
and
I mean somebody from the school.
And I'm the representative of the school, and I made a lot of arrangements to be here today because I wanted to be here to represent the school. My worry is in 3 years' time, I'm not sure what your concern is or what those triggers would be that you'd say, sorry, you have to go back to 250 students.
Okay, well, let's turn it over to some other commissioners.
You know, I don't think we want to turn it back to 250 students. I think what we were just trying to establish, we sent away clear ideas that you had to come back with your plan within, was it 3 months or 6 months? And nobody ever came back. I think that's the big problem here. And that's why I think we want to build a better relationship, because unless the mayor had reached out to you, nobody would have ever come back with your plan. So I think that in lies the problem. Right? Because you said you were going to come back, or that's how we left it with you, the commission. And I just think nobody ever came back.
So in 3 years' time, are you going to come to us or should we come to you?
No, we'll bring it up on an agenda item, but we will reach out to the school, of course, to talk about it beforehand. And I'm confident that everything will be fine, that there'll be no issues, communication will have improved, and everything will be good. That's what I'm very hopeful. But given the prior behavior, to be quite honest with you, the commission has had some doubts. So we just want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
What is the goal of the annual submittal of our enrollment?
To prevent what happened before, where the school jacked up its enrollment by about 40-some students without telling anybody and imposing the additional traffic pattern on the town. The school exists for the town. The town set up the school way back when, almost 100 years ago. It was set up for this town. So the relationship of the school to this town is not only a close one, it is almost a symbiotic one. And so the town has a vested interest in that school and the school's impact on its residents in the core area of the town. Traffic is one of the most significant, property values is the other. Those are the only two issues that I, as a commissioner, focus on. You increased enrollment without approval from the town. That needed to be addressed, and it's being addressed. And you made persuasive arguments as to why it needed to be done, because it was in the best interest of the school and of the town. And that's great, but you didn't do it. You didn't do it in connection with the commission. So that's our concern. That's why we want it certified every year.
So is the 3-year a redundancy of that?
No, it's not. It's to review in total.
Yeah, it's an update in 3 years. But also I think that there should be a review every year with the number of students you have. So that doesn't happen. So a certain date every year. I think
Yeah,
Renee's
it's on my
going to be
calendar.
there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't happen again. So you don't have to come to us and say, oh, by the way, we have 40 extra students over there.
I believe that's my point. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, that's all. In 3 years, I think we want a review of what your maybe next plan. We're not trying to be mean. We just want to kind of have a working relationship with the school.
Correct.
I think the school is an integral part of the town.
And we feel an integral part of the town, and we are very blessed to be here. I guess you get an annual review, having a 3-year review. That's the only part I was.
If I could just jump in, I just want to correct sort of a misunderstanding. When the development agreement was modified in 2012, that annual certification from the school was added then. So this is not something that we recently added. That was added in 2012.
Right.
Obviously, the town was very busy, 2012, 2013 with other matters. We did not follow up, and the school never provided the annual enrollment, which they were required to do.
Right.
I wasn't here in 2012.
Yeah, that was, again, part of the problem. We had a lot going on here, so we didn't follow up with it. But there was definitely a lack of communication.
Sure.
And we just want to make sure that that's back on track.
Understood.
So, but I'm just one vote out of several. Rob, you got any comments?
Obviously, I don't have the history that the rest of the commission and you guys do on this, but I do agree with your comments that the communication here was reactive versus proactive. That would absolutely be a concern.
Well,
What happens with the building that you didn't build? I just have a question.
So
What is that out of the developer's agreement now, the refrigeration, whatever
right,
that
so
was?
when we draft the update to the development agreement, that will no longer be part of it.
Okay, just the
Because it's not
increase in
anything that
enrollment.
Right, it'll be the increased enrollment and the adjusted payment.
So I have one more question for you. You're gonna have 300 students over here and maybe 50 on the other campus?
Yeah, 50,
50,
52.
60? Okay, so you'll have 350 students, so to
Well,
speak.
Yeah, we don't ever intend to have 300 students here. It's almost impossible to get 300 students here. Not because we couldn't get them, but you'd have to recruit for 315. I think Ms. Georgette Smith said something about that in the past. You'd have to over recruit to get that. We're not recruiting for over 300. And our goal is not to be at max capacity. Our goal is to be at a level that breaks even. So this year at 294, we're slightly above break even. But we want to make sure we have room. If a family were to move into Gulfstream mid-year, we want to have room for their 2 children that would want to come mid-school year, and make sure that we have that room as well. So having that buffer, the goal of the board, we're a not-for-profit. We just want to break even and provide the best experience we can for our children. So we're not trying to fill the school with 300 students. We think if it's at 300, it can run efficiently and great, but it would be very difficult. Everyone would have to accept their admission, which you have what's called MELT. So you could, if we admit 300, you're going to have probably 8 melt off or 6 melt off. I think we had 8 melt off this year. 2 came after in between September, maybe in September, and then we added them. So yeah.
I have one more question. Is like when you have family picnics and all that, does that include both campuses?
No. Well, I mean, if there's a crossover family who has a 2-year-old and an 8th grader, then yes. But the 2 and 3-year-olds, that's not a social. You don't socialize with your preschool families. And if you did, there's going to be events over there that will be specifically targeted for them. It won't add extra families coming onto this campus, and the invitation wouldn't go out to that.
To the whole.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless there was a crossover family. Yeah.
All right, so as far as further negotiation on terms, Mr. Nazaro, that there would be none, correct? Now that the freezer has been removed.
That's right. We understand that what they're seeking and what we asked for previously regarding a payment that the school did not balk at. I don't think it was a significant increase. But again, it was just to reflect sort of an offset of the significant amount of time that our police officers are there during drop-off and pickup.
Right. It was an issue with payment as well, as I recall, back in the day. So it was not only communication, there weren't payments weren't being made. Reports of the number of students was not being made. So I really believe to get our relationship back on track, we agreed to the requests of the school for its financial security, and we just have a 3-year period to review it and move on for a longer period of time at that point. That's my position.
Yeah, so if I can get direction from the remaining commissioners that agree with the mayor, we can go ahead and advertise that amendment to the development agreement and get it on for first reading, February meeting, and then second reading and adoption on March meeting.
I agree. I mean, is this in agreement with, it's not that, it shouldn't be that big a deal.
I agree. I agree. It shouldn't be.
Yeah,
I don't see this as a huge burden.
Problem, to be honest with you. Actually, it makes me sit back and listen more carefully when the school says it has a problem with a 3-year just review.
There's going to be 3 1-year reviews prior to that. That was
Well,
my.
But only on
the
Only
enrollment,
on
that's all.
That's all.
What would the other review be on?
After 3 years, we're going to review the whole.
You've got traffic, you have police activity. I don't know what requests will be coming in from the school. They're going to come in with more requests for expansion. I don't know. Again, as I prefaced this at the beginning, I think we need a 3-year period, a cooling off period. And at the conclusion of that, I'm totally optimistic things will be fine and we can go into a longer period development agreement. But at this point, 3 years is not unreasonable to review.
I think just to get the finances and the enrollment and have some kind of That's all. I mean, it shouldn't be a big deal.
I mean, I don't think it's a big deal. I just want to make sure I'm understanding what I'm agreeing to. I thought it was the enrollment that we were agreeing to, and now it's some other stuff. And then I don't know what happens at 3 years on the review. If at 3 years, are we saying the developers agreement could go away? You're putting a term on the 3-year development?
Right, so, I mean, we have our developers agreement that allows the school to operate as a school in a residential area. So that is something that we are not going to modify through this developers agreement, nor would I imagine the school would want to agree to only 3 more years of being able to operate at school, right? So I think that we'll put the 3-year term specifically tied to the enrollment figure. And then that will be reviewed along with any other potential,
Well, enrollment and expenses. The school has avoided payment for years. That needs to be part of the review. All the other terms, I agree with you 100%. Obviously, we established this school. We don't want it. We have a vested interest in this school. So that would not be a 3-year review, obviously. It's only the terms that have created the difficulties between the school and the town up to this point that we want reassurance will not be issues that recur.
I would have no problem with the enrollment or making sure we make our payment, which I believe I wasn't part of this before, but I don't believe we were invoiced, which caused a little bit of confusion, maybe, but I believe we caught up on the payment or we've made the payments now.
Right.
We continue.
Yeah, the school was supposed to make the payments annually. We weren't supposed to invoice them. They were just supposed to make the payments under the agreement.
Okay.
They didn't do it.
Long before my time.
And we didn't,
It's on my watch now.
Right.
We made the payment in October, I believe.
Yeah.
I'll make sure we
I
make
think
the
it's all
payment.
going to work out. It's all going to be fine, as Joan said.
We
It'll
are
be fine.
invoicing them now.
Yes.
I don't think it's.
We are invoicing them now.
I know you are. I know you are. We are invoicing now. Okay. Do you need a motion or is this direction sufficient?
No, the direction sufficient.
Good. All right, let's move forward. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you very
And,
much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thoughts and prayers.
Thank
Okay, let's move on to 2900 Avenue Soleil. Mr. Nazaro.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So I gave the parties a deadline of Tuesday to have everything to me. They provided a red line of the agreement Monday morning, and I think we're in agreement generally over the final terms. However, upon my review of the agreement in December, and speaking with Anthony from Public Works, I realized the easement that we were getting in place of the easement that we're abandoning did not include the town's water infrastructure that services Place South Soleil. So we were really just looking at the east side of the property and how we were reconfiguring that with the turn south from the street Blue Water Cove and into the back of the property, not realizing that, of course, on the far west side of the property, we do have infrastructure that goes behind 2775 Avenue Soleil and turns south. We're going to put this off, unfortunately, for another month because they did not provide the updated exhibit with the legal description and sketch. That is an essential part of this agreement that allows us to continue to have that water line on, that services Place South Soleil. We also discussed the location of a fire hydrant and corresponding easement for that, which was moved from the east side of the property to the west side. And again, those drawings and those descriptions have been in process for a few weeks now. Again, obviously, we're just coming out of the holidays, so the contract purchaser, Mr. Willens, has been, really pushing to get all of this done, but he was unable to. But I do think that there's a high likelihood that we will be ready well in advance of the February meeting. We are still waiting for the club to sign off on its portion of the agreement. So I will reach out to Paul Lyons or others that I'm familiar with the Gulfstream Golf Club that can hopefully expedite their review, because any agreement would not be final until they approve it as well. I don't know if there are any questions. Mr. Canfield, I'm sorry that you couldn't get this taken care of at your first meeting. I know that I was certainly, the last few months, it just seems like we're almost there. as they say, the devil's in the details, and I think that we've worked everything out. You know, engineers, outside counsel, myself, Anthony, negotiations, what size of the easement we need, where it needs to be. I mean, we're at the 1 yard line. So last month we were at the 2 yard line, so just give me another shot.
So this is an update. We have no item for commission
So
action.
ideally, I was hoping that we would get there, but still waiting for that exhibit and legal description for the easement that we're getting. Still do not have it.
Yeah,
And certainly we're not gonna.
they are taking their time. So,
And we're confident we can collect almost $24,000 in code enforcement fees from the previous owner. Current owner.
Right, so we definitely can. I had a discussion with the current owner's attorney last night, said, you know, we're on the agenda, what's going on? You know, I indicated that this property should have been demoed months ago. There was nothing that was really holding you up. She said, no, I advised my client against that. You can demolish it with an easement there. And we spoke quite a bit. And then she said, that's okay. Well, we're going to have a heart-to-heart in advance of the next meeting. And I said, that's okay. My heart is made of stone, though. So I don't know how much reduction we're going to agree to. But she will be here at the next representative will be here to argue for a reduction in code enforcement. It is going to be part of the agreement. It will be paid, you know, by someone. You know, I've pushed them from the very beginning. It is an existing non-conforming structure. You're going to make certain improvements. It does not meet the setbacks. Like, there's nothing that you can do. You're not going to be able to rehab it. Like, just bring it down. And it's just, you know, I don't know if it's something that the current owner doesn't want to be bothered with, or he wants the new person. You know, I don't know what their agreements are, but the most important thing was to get it taken down, and they've completely refused until after the adoption of the agreement. So I said, that's fine, but I'm going to ask for the full value. Just so you know, there's going to be no reduction. That's what I'll advocate before the commission. So if you're fine with just waiting until the agreement's signed, then that's fine. And I'm going to tell my commission that there should be no reduction.
Yeah, the likelihood of the commission or the staff or ARPB or anybody approving anything to be done with that structure, which can't be rehabilitated, is, I mean, it's been ongoing for a long time. Just seems an odd thing to me. I don't know what the legal benefit is leaving it up if the agreement's not approved. There's none.
Yeah.
okay. Let's see what happens next month. All right, let's move on then to Malden and Jenkins annual audit report. We have a update.
Kick it off.
Thank you, Mayor. So as part of so we did form our audit selection committee last year pursuant to statute, and we selected this contractor, Malden and Jenkins in Bradenton. Specific to the RFP, because we didn't want to get into a long-term relationship with an auditor that we weren't experienced with. We have a 5-year agreement that is renewable annually for the next 4 years upon review and recommendation by the town manager. After that, it will be reviewed for 5-year periods. So this is something that is, I think Greg is ready to recommend approval, but it's just because we had that review, we wanted to make sure that we were satisfied with our auditors. It is upon annual review for this first 5-year term. So this would be the second year number 2. We were kind of late to hire them based on, you know, typically when your auditor starts reviewing stuff for that previous year, because of the adjustments that we had with Mr. Bymaster and Nolan Holton Minor. And I'll kick it to Greg for their performance and what his thoughts are in working with them.
Okay, staff was very happy with their performance, albeit it took a little longer. This was the first time they did our audit, and we started late, admittedly, but we feel like they did a very good job, a very thorough job, and a good job, seeing as how this was the first time they'd ever done an audit for us. We had very good relationship between their staff and our staff. And so I would recommend that we move forward with this for the next year.
Is there a motion to approve the annual audit agreement renewal?
Also move to approve that annual audit agreement with
Second.
Malden and Jenkins.
Second.
Renee?
Commissioner Canfield,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. Okay, we need to appoint a new commission member to replace Mr. Lyons, who resigned last month. As we typically do, we go to the ARPB and draw from the ARPB based on its experience to sit on the commission. I reached out to the chairman who declined, vice chairman who declined, Mr. Rocha declined, and Michael Green is next. He has agreed. So my recommendation is that Michael Green be appointed to fill Mr. Lyons' spot on the commission.
You need a motion.
We do, yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a motion to put Michael Green on as a commissioner.
I'll second that.
Renee?
Commissioner Canfield,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. We now need to appoint a new ARPB member. Since Mr. Green is coming up, my recommendation is that with the assignment of the massing issue, Mr. Lyons be placed on the seat that Mr. Green vacated, so that we have the experience of Mr. Lyons and Mr. Smith, in addition to the other members, to address that issue. So that is who I recommend be appointed to the ARPB at this time.
I'll move to appoint Paul Lyons back to the ARPB.
I'll second.
Renee?
Commissioner Canfield,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. I believe that opens up an alternate member for the ARPB. That would go normally to Ms. Lyons, but I've spoken to her, and because of Mr. Lyons being appointed, she has stepped back. So the next in line
I can stop with that.
is she will be on, I'm sure, because Mr. Lyons has his assignment, and then I think he will be stepping off. Brian Coulter is next in line, so I would ask for appointment of Mr. Coulter to the alternate position on the ARPB.
I'll move to appoint Brian Coulter to the alternate position of the ARPB. And I think he'll do a great job.
Yeah, he's a very bright
He's very
guy.
into the real estate world too.
Second.
Renee?
Commissioner Canfield,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. Okay, we have the Australian Pines Protection Ordinance, Mr. Nazaro.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is second reading. Part of this code change adds the requirement that when an application within the North Ocean Boulevard Overlay District contains Australian pine, a plan be submitted outlining certain tree protection measures. This was recommended by the town's arborist, and this is in response to some work on A1A that damaged the root structure of a number of Australian pines. This creates a new section 66-327 Australian pines, which imposes certain requirements for construction within 25 feet. And is really just consistent with the material that he sent, which is consistent with industry standards. Again, this is for second reading and adoption.
Yeah, again, we have to protect the Australian pines. They're historic. We preserve them, and we have to have something in place to assist the town as it enforces renovations done near the Australian pines to protect their health. So is there a motion? I'm sorry, we have to read.
Renee.
Second reading, Ms. Basil.
An ordinance of the Town Commission of the Town of Gulfstream, Palm Beach County, Florida, amending the Town Code of Ordinances at Chapter 66 zoning, Article 7, North Ocean Boulevard Overlay District, Section 66-323, same application, and renaming Section 66-327 Reserve to Section 66-327 Australian Pines to provide for tree protection measures during development projects in the North Ocean Boulevard Overlay District, providing that each and every section and subsection of Chapter 66 zoning shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing for severability, providing for repeal of ordinances in conflict, providing for codification, providing an effective date, and for other purposes. This second reading today, January 12th, 2024.
Thank you. Ordinance number 23/3 has been provided on second reading.
Yes, I'd like to approve ordinance 23-3 for second reading.
Second.
Wait till-
Commissioner Canfield,
There we go.
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley.
Yes.
Perfect timing.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes, thank you very much. Any comments from the commission? If not, thank you all for coming. Meeting adjourned.
I think we might have missed the opportunity to speak when you said
Yep.
the public can speak in the beginning.
Right, we had public comment at the
We didn't
beginning.
Yeah, we didn't know that was like when we were supposed to speak, we were waiting to tell everybody else to their business until we could speak. It'll only take us 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you did, normally the meeting is closed, but you all made the trip here. You obviously want to speak, and I don't want to.
We won't take a lot of your time. If you just give us a few moments.
Do we need to
Do we need to?
redo the meeting
Yeah,
or?
if we could just reopen the meeting to reopen public comments.
I'd like to move to reopen the meeting for public comments. Now, will the public comments be 3 minutes? or-
Right.
Yeah.
The same standards would apply. So it does not have, it's nothing that relates to any agenda item. It can be whatever you want to talk about. There's a 3-minute limit per person.
Okay.
If there are a number of people here to speak on the same topic, you might want to appoint a representative. We could give you a little bit more time, but.
Okay. Okay, I appreciate that. So.
Okay, what's been, there was a motion
To reopen the
to
meeting.
reopen the meeting. Let's do this properly.
Second.
Ms. Basil?
Commissioner Canfield,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley.
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. We really appreciate it. So
Of course.
I had 5 people that were going to speak. If it's 3 minutes each, is it okay if I'm only going to speak for a few minutes? And then I'd like Cameron to be able to speak for more time, and then we'll just have one more person make a comment, and that'll be it.
Well,
Okay.
let's see how it
Okay,
goes. It sometimes can get out of hand if it's a repetitive thing,
I
but
totally understand.
let's see how it goes.
Okay.
Please state your name for the record.
My name is Jeremy Pritchett, and I've been a South Florida resident for over 30 years. This is my home. My wife and I have owned our business in East Boca Raton going on 27 years. We are grateful to be a part of the Palm Beach community. I've been riding my bike on A1A for over 15 years, but during COVID, my passion for cycling really grew. This past year, I rode over 10,000 miles, which is more than I actually drove in my car. Having traveled many beautiful areas of this and the world, I can tell you there are few that compare to the area that you all call home. Gulfstream's absolutely beautiful, which is in some of the other comments that we have put together as well. This past week, some of the leaders of the biggest cycling groups in Palm Beach got together to start working on the Florida Share the Road Coalition. I have 2, actually 3 with me today, Cameron Oster from 3R Cycling Experience and Philippe Costa from Galera du Pedal and Christy Breslaw from Boca Tri. Plus, we have over 10 other group ride leaders that have pledged to assist us in this endeavor. Our groups together total several thousand members. We also have a current Gulfstream resident here to speak, Diana Pohanka. She was hit by a car while riding her bike. We are here today to speak with you and work with you on how to make recreational traffic safer on this beautiful stretch of road. We are also planning on meeting with all of the police departments and city councils on A1A from Hillsborough Mile to Palm Beach Island. We understand this is a complex issue and there are faults on both the drivers and the recreational traffic, which includes cyclists, walkers, runners, motorcycles, etc. We know based on statistical evidence that proper bike lanes, signage, and advocacy for safer roads can help to eliminate these issues. Adding bike lanes specifically will make it safer for everyone and make it easier for the police to do their job. 25 years ago, when I lived in Delray Beach, it was a sleepy beach town. I believe the Green Owl was the only restaurant on Atlantic Avenue that I would go for breakfast. And we all know what Delray Beach is now. And we aren't going to magically reverse that. I grew up in a small town in Indiana, smaller than Gulfstream. And now when I go back 30-something years later, it's the size of Boca, Delray, and probably Coral Springs all combined. It's crazy. So more people are coming. The secret's out that Florida is a special place to be. It's just not for retirees anymore. And that's not going to change. More and more people are going to be moving here. There's going to be more and more traffic coming through Gulfstream. It was interesting to hear you talking about the school and the traffic issues with just 40 more students coming to the school. the traffic that's coming through Delray is going to be coming through here. Like everyone else that leaves their house to go for a walk, run, or to ride their bike, whether by themselves or with a group of friends, I want to make it home alive and in one piece without incident. In our groups, we are grandfathers, grandmothers, brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, wives, and husbands. We are just like you. We need to work together to prevent accidents like the one that happened last week from happening in the future. Thank you, and I'll let Cameron speak now.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commission. My name is Cameron Oster. Just to introduce myself, I'm a husband. I'm a father of 2 young children, resident of South Florida for 17 years. In my previous career, I was at the Boca Resort, worked as operations analyst there. So my primary functions were to evaluate and develop process changes to ensure efficient operations, predictable and profitable operations for all 54 departments at the Boca Resort. Since then, 3.5 years ago, I left that position in that career at the Boca Resort, and I took on my dream of starting my own business, which also coincides with my passion of cycling. So starting a company, 3R Cycling Experience, I produce cycling events throughout Florida, some trips up to Georgia, out to Colombia. So of these event productions, represent over 1,000 participants just in the productions that I put on here in Florida. So looking at where we stand with some challenges with sharing the road, like Jeremy said, and with our coalition, I think it's kind of a few specific root causes that are the case all up and down A1A. We spoke a lot about population growth. We know population growth in South Florida has boomed in the last 10+ years significantly. In that time frame, also, there's been a lot of great progress made by the cities to actually improve the driving capacity for citizens, for cyclists, and for everyone to actually access A1A. So those have been great improvements. However, what that means is that there are more individuals out on A1A up and down all of Palm Beach on a day in and day out basis, right? So that's one main factor. We have increased population growth, but beyond that, there's better accessibility to A1A. Okay, compounding this extra usage of this stretch of A1A out here is during COVID, there was a big push just for people to generally be outside, get on bikes. So there was actually disproportionate growth in cycling and other just general like fitness pastimes, if you will. So now we have better access to A1A. Now we have a disproportionate increase actually of the general population, taking on activities that are going to put them on roads like A1A. So I think it's clear that we all need to see and acknowledge this, and this is happening through all the towns in Palm Beach. And there are a few miles specifically in Gulfstream that this affects, and no matter what we do sitting here, that will be the case as people make their way through the town, right? There are existing FDOT standards that are suggested for all state roadways, and we ask that those are taken seriously and that we really look to see how we can implement those FDOT standards in every town along A1A. There are many different applications given the specific scenarios of accessibility to additional roadway, speed limits, overall traffic flow. Talked a lot about already, even just in touching base with the education about transportation applications. And so we can see it really touches everyone. So we're here today, like Jeremy said, formed this coalition of over 10 clubs to really help bring another perspective to the kind of the larger situation that all the drivers, all the citizens are in as they frequent A1A, and to help come to good mutual conclusions and action so that we can all share the road and be safe in non-intrusive way. I know oftentimes it can be perceived, you talk about like being like symbiotic relationships. So like symbiotic relationship between cars and cyclists and other pedestrians, it can be sometimes seen as like an aggressive relationship, but really it is symbiotic, that we all just want to have access to these roads. And it's not often one individual person's intent or fault of being in the other person's way. But kind of like to the root cause is without the right roadway infrastructure, it puts us at those crossroads together, where in reality, none of us want to be in the way of the other. So what we ask is that we really look hard at how can we implement FDOT standards to give us all, the space needed to remove that unneeded friction. And, talked about the population, and it's, I'm sure clear to everyone here that as the population.
We're at 5 minutes.
Yep, sorry, has grown. There's also a lot of increased sense of urgency and aggressive, driving and distracted driving. So like this is another root cause to this situation, but I guess many things that are coming together here. But the real question is like, what can we do in this room, in this town specifically? We can't control the population. We can control the attitude of drivers in this town, but not the non-residents coming through the town, right? But what we do have control over is the roadways in this town. So, what we ask is that we look at within our controllable, designation, what can we do? And I think looking at just implementing some specific FDOT standards here in Gulfstream is going to be good for the residents, the drivers, and everyone that's out in the town. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Cameron.
Hello.
Good morning.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners, for listening to us. Sorry. My name is Felipe Costa. I'm 45 years old. I'm a son, husband, father of 2 beautiful girls, Isabella 5, Julius 3. I'm sorry. I'm a business owner. I'm a driver, and most important, I'm a cyclist. I became a cyclist about 10 years ago. And my first ride was between Deerfield Beach to Boynton Beach on A1A. Immediately, I fell in love with the sport. And I realized I was not alone. As you may know, this is one of the most beautiful spots in the world to ride a bikes. And less than 6 months into my biking relationship, me and my friends, we created a group. And the only objective of this group is to get all our friends to enjoy and experience the wonderful benefits of being a cyclist. So today, my group that I helped create it, we have over 300 riders between West Palm Beach and Fort Lauderdale. Unfortunately, most of the injured riders from last week.
They're part of your group.
It's okay. You get through.
I'm almost done.
You got it.
Jeremy?
Yeah.
Bottle of water.
Appreciate it.
It's really been hard for us, especially because this is the second major incident that happened to our group in the last year. And the reason I'm here today is just to thank you for your time, for listening to what we had to say. And my group as a support for the Florida Share the Road Coalition. That's why I'm here. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Yeah, you're obviously all sincere and passionate about driving, and I think we all share the desire for safe travel, certainly up A1, A1A.
And that
So-
was a terrible accident. I mean, but it was terrible.
Yeah, really bad. And
Thank you.
he's the closest to the people involved. And we still have one person that's still in the hospital and still touch and go. There's been things said out there that there was a fatality. There isn't a fatality at this point, but the person is, touch and go in the hospital. So
Well, he has our prayers.
I appreciate that. And thank you so much for taking the time to at least listen to us. And we appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. With that, we'll close the meeting.
You might want to go home and